Hello and welcome to the Join Dota League Season 3 here on HeflaTV 2. Right now, we're going to have a best of two series between Bora Dota and Next Level Badasses as soon as everybody loads in, and there we go, the last person on the side of Bora Dota is going to load in. As for your casters today, I'm Grendis V, and I'll be joined by Mike Loris. Well, we loaded in the game without any problems, that's a first.
Yeah, but we don't want to harp on it too much because if we do, then something else might happen that would be bad. This is hopefully going to be a series with minimal interruptions, but we haven't really had a great track record as of late.
Yeah, between USC server issues, we had a Twitch DDoS yesterday, lots of just garbage going on. Yeah, as far as both of these teams, haven't seen them play that much, just a handful of games here or there. Um, I don't know, not really sure what to expect out of both of them. It should be a fairly interesting game.
Yeah, Bora, they have a lot more on Joe and Dota as far as games they've played in the past. I have casted Next Level Badasses once before, and there's like no information on them on Join Dota at all. So yeah, I don't remember being too overly like excited about anything. So hopefully it should be really close. I mean, that's obviously what you're gonna hope for every single game, but yeah, there's not really much to tell because I haven't actually seen Next Level Badasses play all that often.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm hoping that they'll bring some surprises out, but as far as the first bans coming out from both teams, nothing too surprising. Faceless Void, Death Prophet banned out by Next Level Badasses, and Lycanthrope Doom taken out by Bora Dota. So leave the Shadow Shaman in the pool, which Bora Dota will first pick.
Yep. So we still got the Skywrath, still got the Brewmaster. Just heroes like that will pretty much determine which route you're going in the game, or at very least fit into any lineup in case you don't actually know where you're going. So Bordeaux with Shadow Shaman, they could go deep into the pushing, though Death Prophet is already out, and if they don't want to do that, they could just very easily have him be that lane support, maybe go around ganking a little bit and just do stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure, with Skywrath Mage as well as Earthshaker both still in the pool. Going around and roaming with Shadow Shaman definitely could be a possibility. Usually the biggest issue that Shadow Shaman has when roaming is getting in range because his base movement speed is rather abysmal and the range on Hex and Shackles isn't that great.
Yeah, so if you get some way to set up for a Shadow Shaman, whether it be smoking early on and getting him boots, which isn't really oftenly seen from Shadow Shaman, or getting some setup from someone else, whether it be, an Earthshaker, as you said, with a long range fissure, or even another support with more movement speed, i.e., boots, and a decent sized disable as well. Like, if you have a Treant Protector with boots and Leech Seed, then Shadow Shaman doesn't really have to worry about the problem getting close because he will have his friend getting close for him. But Next Level Badass is going to first go with the Razor as their first pick. Took their sweet time deciding on that one, and, well, it's a Razor. What else is there to be said about that hero?
I don't know, not very much. Presumably going to be their mech carrier for their team. Probably going to be played in the mid or safe lane. But could be the core of an aggressive tri-lane, I suppose, if they have some supports to back them up. The next pick for Next Level Badasses is not going to be so next level with the Tidehunter. Just all around a really decent hero. And Bora Dota, go ahead and pick up the Viper. No big surprises there. South American teams definitely prioritize the Viper more than most, but still a really solid hero all around. Shouldn't lose his lane. And I don't know, transitions very well into the mid game when you have the mechanism for your team, and the ability to push down those towers is very nice.
Yeah, in my mind, Viper and Razor are pretty much the same hero. Like, they have their small distinctions and whatnot, but as far as the role that they play for their team, the actual gameplay of the hero itself, they do pretty much very similar things. You put them in a lane, and they're probably going to win it, and then they're going to be tanky, and they're going to be doing a lot of damage as well, and they fall off later on. So, I mean, it's a nice little suite of skills and stuff to have for an early pickup. So both teams going to get their hands on that Tidehunter. Going to be the pickup as well, though. Currently up against two ranged heroes, usually has a fairly easy time in lane nonetheless.
I mean, Viper's Shadow Shaman +1 definitely could zone out a Tidehunter and make his life pretty terrible, but then again, you're committing a lot to shutting down a Tidehunter that could just back off and get ancient stacks, and I don't know, the other lanes would benefit greatly if you committed that much into keeping the Tidehunter down. More than anything, you're probably just going to try to keep him his arms length as much as you can, and then just kind of accept it that he's going to have a Ravage and he's going to be a big team fight issue.
If Next Level Badasses do put the Tidehunter in the bottom lane, then I think it'll benefit Bora Dota a lot to meet him with the Viper tri-lane if they are going to go for that, of course. But if they do that, then at first, Shadow Shaman and whatever supports they have will be poking at the Tidehunter. Ideally, get a first blood there, although That's always a lot to ask for. But then at a certain point, when Viper has, one or two level advantage over Tidehunter, Viper can completely zone out the Tidehunter just by himself because that's what Viper does. And Tidehunter, he's not really good at counteracting that without some support of his own. So I would expect Bora Dota to pick up someone else to handle the lane versus Razor because as it stands right now, they should have an advantage versus this Tide.
Yeah. We'll just have to see. Witch Doctor, a very peculiar ban, actually. Coming out from Next Level Badasses, I could see it working for Board Dota. It does give them a sort of setup stun that allowed the Shadow Shaman to roam, but more than anything would give them a lot of sustain in their pushings with the Voodoo Restoration.
Yeah, usually you see the Witch Doctor being picked up with the likes of the Tidehunter or Faceless Void, so that on top of that sustain and the early game poking of the Witch Doctor, you also get that nice setup for the Death Ward, which isn't a necessity, but it is certainly very useful. Next level badasses, they're going to go with an Ancient Apparition as their first support pick in this game. I mean, it'll at the very least shut off the mech, but as it stands right now, they don't really have any global stuff going on right now, nor do they have any huge healing to stop. But, still a very solid hero, especially if they pick up a couple of ranged heroes.
Yeah, if you have 3 ranged heroes in a lane with Chilling Touch, it's very easy to dominate your tri-lane fairly heavily and might give them the potential to go aggressive, although with the heroes that they already have, they're fairly stun light.
Yeah, so we'll see what Bora wants to pick up. They still need a support hero of their own. Well, there aren't that many great 1-1 counters as far as supports are concerned. Okay, just going for something very strong, very balanced. Also getting another set of stuns. So Bora Dota, I like this from them having lots of stuns within their supports, which are most likely going to be the ones who are roaming. Next level badasses don't really have any stuns at all. Maybe they'll be able to freeze someone in place from Cold Feet, and then eventually they'll have a Ravage. But until that happens, if Bora Dota pick up someone who's a little bit elusive, then next level badasses will very much so struggle to deal with that. They're going to go for a Shadow Demon, but once again, there's no real stun there.
Yeah, and a very quick Invoker pick coming up from Bora Dota. They don't have the best setup for Sunstrikes unless you're able to set up with the Fisher as well as Shackles, in which case it's pretty much just an instant drop on the Sunstrike. Defensive disruptions could end up biting next level badasses in the ass. If they try to defensively disrupt, it could just be setting up the Sunstrikes for themselves.
Shadow Demon, though, is still a ranged hero, so he partners pretty well with Ancient Apparition. The dream is to put the frozen feet on someone, put the cold feet on someone, then put them in the bubble, and then as soon as they pop out, that will be the freeze or stun or whatever you want to call it. It's hard to get it to line up, but when it does, it's pretty satisfying. And ooh, Ricky to combo with that. It's not the worst. I don't actually mind this pick too much. I like it.
I don't. I don't know. I don't see this Ricky really being able to get off the ground much. He might be able to farm and get some decent items in his lane, depending on what his matchup is going to be. But then later on, I'm seeing a Bora Dota lineup that's more than likely going to be 5-manning. Fairly early on, once they get the mech on the Viper and they get the double Forge Spirits on the Invoker, they're just going to be able to push down the towers. And Ricky versus heroes that are going to be clumped up is very difficult, and I don't see these heroes really split pushing on their own, with the exception of the Invoker, presumably.
Next level badasses, in order to make this Ricky pick really work, they need a good start. So Razor and Tidehunter need to have a good time in their lanes, and well, so far it's not clear as to how they're going to lane this Ricky Shouty Ancient Apparition tri-lane. If they get this Ricky a couple of levels and just ensure his easy farm, then the damage he'll be able to put out towards the heroes like Invoker or Shadow Shaman with that smoke screen is going to be huge for next level badasses. So, I mean, it is always a hard hero to evaluate because he is so rarely seen. But as it stands right now, there aren't many pure hard counters to this Ricky, aside from the fact that you mentioned they are probably going to be inclined to 5-man. But next level badasses have a Tidehunter and a Razor. They are going to be okay enough, I would say, to deal with that. So, I don't know. I guess we're just going to have to see how this Ricky does in the end.
Yeah, I don't know, the Ricky pick just kind of feels a little bit lackluster. If it does get off to a good early start, however, it will be able to mow down a lot of these heroes, and well, Bora Dota, they run out their lineup with a Bounty Hunter. I'm okay with this, but their lanes are going to be incredibly weak.
Yeah, it's obviously kind of pushed to them as they did see the Ricky, and Track does pretty well against invisibility, so I guess that's the thinking there. However, if the lanes do end up being Ancient Apparition, Shadow Demon, and Ricky versus the Bounty Hunter, then Bounty is going to get his face smashed in. Like, there is nothing a Bounty could do, especially if the next level badasses team pick up some early sentries. So I expect that they're going to lane the Riki up top. However, it looks like it's going to be a 3v3 lane. Bounty Hunter gets a little bit of luck, but he's still up against a Tide Hunter, so I don't really know how lucky he truly is. But we're in game, guys, and we are going to be seeing who's playing what. On the Bora Dota side, we got Cass playing the Earthshaker, supporting down bottom, most likely. Dead is going to be on the mid lane. Invoker has a weird bird hat on for some reason. Shadow Shaman is going to be also supporting on the bottom. Is smoked up. Is he the only one who's smoked up? Okay, well, he's going to be played by Aquino. On the bottom lane, the farmer is going to be Forsaken, and then top lane is going to be Nico.
Yeah, I don't know, very awkward smoke. It's going to put Aquino in potentially a very compromising position as the side of next level badasses. Well, never mind, he'll be able to back off just fine, or will he? His smoke is going to pop sooner rather than later if he keeps on going down that path, but he did spot out this rotation. So that will give me time to introduce the next level badasses with the, of course, going to be playing with Fifth, playing on the Tide Hunter. Razor going to be taken up by DVG Riki, going to be played by Disembody, and the supporting duo, the Shadow Demon, going to be played by Yurgity, and that will leave the Ancient Apparition played by McCoy's racist grandpa.
Alright, so it looks like, I want to say that the bottom lane is just going to be tri-lane versus tri-lane. Next level badasses, at the very early stage, they will have the damage advantage, given that they have an Ancient Apparition and 2 ranged heroes, so that's not to be understated. If Disembody gets an early point smokescreen, that will certainly be very useful, but looks like they're actually making a little bit of a lane switch. So Bounty Hunter is going to be going 1v3 in the lane, and I think next level badasses should be okay with this. They have 1 Sentry Ward, which should be enough for the ranged heroes to zone out. And Tide Hunter, as we said before, he may be zoned out in the end, but he should be able to get something. It's even more so the case now that he is on the safe lane, so Viper can only zone him out so much.
Yeah, I don't know. This will ensure that Riki gets himself a good early start. There's very little pressure that the Bounty Hunter can do, and it looks like next level badasses are going to find themselves in a fairly favorable lane. That said, once they get off to an early start up against this Tide Hunter, they can leave the Viper solo and then start roaming with the Earthshaker and Shadow Shaman and potentially make, or look to change that up a little bit for the other 2 lanes.
Yeah, so I gotta keep my eye on Nico on the bottom lane, because he could very easily go down, as well. 25th is also not exactly going to be always safe, as he doesn't get with a Fissure and a Shackle and a Sunstrike, which is going to connect. However, the Viper just be chilling. So unfortunately, they let the Tide Hunter go. Viper, I'm sure those 2 CS were very worth it.
Yeah, I don't know. Had he been there just for like 1 poison attack, they would have been able to chase him down. Like, even if he didn't attack him twice, just the 1 slow probably would have secured that kill. And at the very least, he would have gotten a lot more farm. So yeah, a little bit of miscommunication. His team were committing quite a bit to that kill. They dropped a Fissure, Shackles as well as Sunstrike. So maybe Forsaken just thought that the Sunstrike would miss or something. I don't know.
Well, the Fissure and a Shackle, it would probably not happen that much, like to have your Sunstrike miss, although, to be fair, like, it was thrown out, and 25th was on the move when he did move into it, so I don't know, but hopefully next time, for their sake, they're going to be able to get something out of that aggression, as well as it stands right now. Tide Hunter and Bounty are holding on to each other's lanes, I mean, fairly equally. 25th is trying to keep himself as safe as possible. DVG versus Invoker. I'm lagging. Are you lagging?
That might be your internet, because Skype is also lagging a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Tide Hunter has managed to find himself a little cubbyhole in the trees. If the Earthshaker finds out about this, he could get caught in a very compromising position if they tango through this one and get a nice block on him. But for now, Tide Hunter is going to be just fine, as is the Bounty Hunter. Surprised they're not putting a little bit more pressure on the Bounty Hunter, but there they go. With the disruption to start things off with Chilling Touch damage, they're going to silence him up. He can't go invis. Sentry Ward has already been deployed, but he won't be able to get out there alive, or will he? The Fade Time was enough. Will he take down? No, he'll salve up, and wow, that Sentry was dropped too early, I feel.
Either it was dropped too early, or it was just misplaced. If they put it up, like where the Ice Vortex, well, now it was timed out. If they put it a little bit further up, that would have been an easy kill, but I don't know, maybe they just messed up, or I mean, that was just a clear mistake. If you put the Sentry Ward closer to the tower, yes, it may get shot and it may be brought down, but you get to kill the Bounty Hunter, and I think that's kind of worth it. So each team now making a pretty crucial mistake, which means that the first blood is still going to be unclaimed.
Yeah, for now, the Viper, the winner as far as CS is concerned, pretty much getting uncontested farm. The Tide Hunters just made his little home in the trees and hasn't really been able to pressure him much. Whenever he comes up, he gets a little spew of poison attack, and that'll keep him at arm's length. 18-3 on the Viper. Riki not doing poorly, but is behind as far as that is concerned by 5. Mid is fairly even, and I'd expect it to be so, especially... Whoa, Invoker's build. Is this a Wexword Invoker?
I don't think it is. I know that there is a couple of Invoker players that do like taking this early point in Wex, and then they just go right back into the standard 4 Exort 4 Quas Invoker. They just like to have that additional damage from Alacrity, and if you're going to be getting into fistfights with Razor, and if he's going to be draining your damage, it is kind of helpful. I don't know if it's worth it, though, so, well, I mean, we'll see if this Wex actually does come together. It also does provide you the pretty big benefit of being able to drop a Meteor early on, and when everyone's really soft, if you have a really high level of Exort, low level Wex Meteor, then that could hurt a lot.
Yeah, I don't know, it's just very peculiar. I think he might be sacrificing a little bit more than he wants to as far as delaying the double Forge Spirits. But in lane, it does have its merits getting the Alacrity. It's fairly spammable, fairly low mana cost as well as cooldown. So for now, both offlaners are just trying to soak as much as they can, and it looks like they're going to be just fine. I'm kind of hesitant to look away, but yeah, either of them could die if they overstep their bounds.
I'm not really sure how this is happening, but the Viper has like 10 more CS than the Riki, even though they're both pretty much going against no heroes in their lane. So, yeah, and Riki even misses another one. I'm starting to not like this Riki pick as much, since Disembody clearly hasn't practiced the hero that much, since he's having some really serious trouble last hitting these creeps.
Yeah, it's very peculiar to see. With fairly high base damage, or at least comparable, as well as backstab, it should be fairly easy to last hit, and I don't know. Viper is probably easier with the Nether Toxin, but still, he hasn't really been pressured by the Bounty Hunter. Bounty's just been trying to soak as much experience as possible, hasn't hit a single CS. He is roaming towards mid currently, but he has boots, not much else.
There's really nothing the Bounty Hunter could do here. If he does help out at all, it's most likely just going to be the Invoker, who could have still solo killed the Razor anyway, so I don't really see the Bounty Hunter doing anything, though he might get a little bit of experience. He doesn't have level 6, so he's only contributing a slight slow and shuriken toss, and let's see if they're going to go for DVG. I mean, they do have Sunstrike, but I don't know if that's going to land. Sunstrike Alacrity is probably not enough unless they kind of bait DVG into fighting. In the meantime, 25th on the top lane. He will dodge Sunstrike, throw out a Gush into Aquino. Now's the smoke screen, and Aquino might be the first blood. He will be as the Tidehunter gets put into the bubble. Now Forsaken, trapped in the trees. He's going to try to escape, but he won't be able to. The Tidehunter somehow living level 1 Kraken Shell value right there as follow cast. And, oh, there's going to throw the Fissure and will connect on the Tidehunter, but also we have Nico wandering around with that haste. Will take the curse, though I don't know if next level badasses notice that. They should know there's something going on here, and well, there's a Bounty Hunter who's going to reveal himself instantly, go towards the Ancient Apparition, gonna lay down Ice Vortex, not gonna happen. That haste stream providing so much value as does return to this top lane. 2 for 2 is the ultimate exchange, but in the end, next level badasses get their first blood.
Yeah, nobody got the last hit. I believe it was a tower or creep, so the gold was split up, but slight favor towards them in that exchange. I think the biggest issue for Bora Dota was that the Invoker missed his Sunstrike. The Tidehunter was in a corner, he was shackled up, and honestly, I'm not sure how, but in the end, potentially he clicked out on the map or something and just ended up knocking that damage. Had they gotten that kill, it would have been very easy. He puts that Wex point to good use, I suppose, by going into Ghostwalk. I think it would have been just fine anyway, but he'll be able to soak a little bit more.
Yeah, if Invoker is more on point, then Bora Dota wouldn't have had only that kill, but also the kill previous. Or, wait, no, that was Viper's fault. Never mind. It's, yeah, one fault for Invoker, but that's fine. He's, meantime, top lane Aquino, a little bit of trouble getting hit really hard by that Chilling Touch, but the Viper still high enough level and puts out enough damage to protect his allies. He is well on his way to his mech, is in fact very close to that. The item that is kind of going to be met by the other safe lane farmer is just Power Treads at the moment for Riki, even though Riki did get an assist there, so, yeah, Viper is farming just so much better than this Riki, and Riki kind of leaving the lane to roam. I would not recommend doing this.
Yeah, especially pre-level 6 and before you have at least one item. I mean, Power Tread's Orb of Venom can be effective. I don't know, they're going to slow him down quite a bit inside the Smoke Cloud. They silence him up, they drop the Ravage. A Fissure comes through as well, and the Sunstrike will be on the market, will onto Disembody. They will get the Viper kill beforehand, but in the end, Riki's going to die to creep, so 1 for 1. Slight favor towards next level badasses, I guess. I don't know, that was a very awkward engage.
Yeah, so the way I play Riki, and I don't know if this is how everyone does it, I like to think of him as a pretty hard carry, and I would just farm because bottom lane was completely empty. There's literally nobody there. that could have been just a whole bunch of farm for him. Even though it is kind of wasting some potential for smokescreen. In the meantime, top lane though, 25th, gonna get shackled down, and Sunstrike will kabloom kill off the Tidehunter very easily. But he doesn't body roaming around to gank as a Riki into a Viper. I mean, they got the kill, yes, but this Riki could benefit so much more but by just getting some farm, because really Power Treads and Orb of Venom, that's nothing to write home about.
Yeah, I mean, usually how I see Ricky, he wants to get one item and then start roaming around and looking for kills. And whether that item is a Diffusal Blade or drums even, I don't know, maybe just a casual Yasha, just anything to help him roam around and at least have level 6. I don't know. For now, we are just going to back off. We're waiting for Tidehunter Ravage to come back off of cooldown. That's for 70 seconds. He's going to Anchor Smash up the Shadow Shaman. They're very aggressively behind tower with the Sunstrike coming through. It is going to land. He will crack and shell off Fissure, but that's going to be about it. It's Plasma Field. It's killing the Shadow Shaman. Viper's getting some damage to him, but on the back lines, it is the Earthshaker's being chased down by the Ancient Apparition. He doesn't have enough mana for an Icy Vortex slow, and Earthshaker drops a casual ward while running away. Not sure if that was spotted. Bounty Hunter's in the vicinity, and he's going to drop the Jornada Stone as well as the track. There's the Fissure from long range coming up from the Earthshaker. Will secure his retreat as well as the kill on the Ancient Apparition. Invis coming out from Nikawa, and he will be just fine. And the Viper's actually coming through as well. He does have enough mana for another track. They're going to Viper Strike and probably track him after a Janata Sunstrike coming through as well. DPG going to give up a kill, it seems. A lot of gold going the way of Bora Dota in the last minute or so.
Yurgi's going to show his face and try to mess with the casters a little bit. Unfortunately, he is unable to get anything, and also unfortunately, their mid lane is being pushed by Dead's Invoker and Aquino, who pretty much had nothing to do with that fight aside from Sunstrike. And also, further unfortunately for next level badasses, they teleport their Riki up there, and he does pretty much nothing. So they waste so much time, they lose so many heroes, and they also don't even have any opportunity cost. Like, they pretty much just say, okay, you other heroes, you have to come and help. And, well, it actually didn't help in the end. Maybe they get a kill on Aquino? Here we go, Ice Blast! Is that lethal?
I think so.
I think it's lethal.
Yeah, that should tick him down. We'll see. Which tick is it going to be? Yeah, easily. So in the end, they get a nice pickoff on the Shadow Shaman with the first usage of that Ancient Apparition ult, which is really nice for the AA, but still, it's, I don't know, only a silver lining. That really didn't have to do anything with the rotations. They also saved their tier 1 tower mid from the first usage of Serpent Wards. It's down to below half, but that's going to be the damage of it for now. As, well, it is kind of cooling down. We do have the Riki down in bottom, potentially looking for the kill on the Invoker, but he'll need a lot more backup than that, and it looks like it's TPing in. The form of the Tidehunter, Ancient Apparition, Shadow Demon. They really want this Invoker, but I think he's going to be just fine. We'll see which path he's going to take. I don't know. If he goes to farm a camp, they might be able to close the distance.
But Disembody right now is just wasting so much freaking time. Like, he's not farming, he's not getting any experience, he's literally doing nothing. He's a ward right now. And, well, for Dota, they have kind of a similar thing in the Bounty Hunter, except Bounty Hunter can contribute a lot more with nothing. Disembody's going to try to go for it now, but I mean, he just wasted, what, a minute just doing literally nothing? Whereas if he was the Bounty Hunter, if you do waste that time, that's fine, because you actually have track later on, you can recover, and you don't even need that many items to be effective. Whereas Riki, he doesn't have many levels, so Smokescreen is going to be very useless. If he had maxed out Smokescreen, I would say, okay, it'll be a little bit better to make use of that, but he's gone for a very traditional Riki build, and he's playing it in a very non-traditional way. Maybe it truly is next level, but I just don't think it doesn't work.
Yeah, I don't know, it's committing very heavily into backstab, which sure gives you some decent damage, but not if you don't have the agility to back it up. And with only level 6 as well as no items on top of that, really, outside of the Bracer and Power Treads, he just doesn't have that. They will drop some sentries, and they have grouped up down bottom. With the Ravage, they might be able to fight, but Disembody's tracked up. They drop a Fissure on the Ancient Apparition. He's going to be disrupted. The Sunstrike is going to miss because of that, so well played, but they'll drop the Echo Slam for this, and the Viper should be able to get that kill. He drops the Ancient Apparition Blast with his last spell, but in the end, that's just going to get, I don't know, be a nuisance, rather. For now, that's going to be it. Ancient Apparition dying in the bottom lane.
That was a pretty nice disruption, not only dodging the Sunstrike, but also dodging the Shuriken, which was in midair, but ultimately, Ancient Apparition is not really a tough hero. He has gone for Arcane Boots, which will be the second Arcane Boots. Yeah, second Arcane Boots thus far in the game. But they're going to lose most likely this Tier 1 bottom tower. And I'd just like to point out real quickly that Earthshaker's build has maxed out Aftershock. That's really weird. I mean, for support Earthshaker, it's usually maxed out Fissure. I'm pretty sure for a Core Shaker, you get maxed out Enchant Totem, though I'm not completely sure. Usually Aftershock is what you take in addition, not what you prioritize.
I actually kind of like this coming out from the Earthshaker. Honestly, the biggest part about Fissure is the block off, which we'll see onto Disembody. He's stuck in a corner, can't go anywhere. He will be disrupted, which will delay things for now, but they'll come in. No, Blink Strikes up to the noise. Do they have the damage? They're looking for a little bit more from the Bounty Hunter. They will be able to get it in the end, but they're under tower very deep, and Nico, it looks like he's going to die, and the Plasma Fuel comes out, and Aquino is also going to shatter. They got the track call on the Rickies, so not the worst one for 2 trade I've ever seen, but I don't know. Let's see if that's going to be all it is. As Earthshaker's TPing out, he'll be just fine, and Viper should not be chased down.
That was pretty unlucky for the Shadow Shaman. He was mid-cast range for his Ether Shock when he died, and if he got that shock off, Yurgity would have died, and that was a tracked-up Shadow Demon. So, you know, whether it's timing or just slow clicking or whatever, but unfortunately the Shadow Shaman has to die, and he doesn't get anything out of that. So, you know, it sucks to be you, Shadow Shaman, but still, they're doing okay, Bora. They've taken their second Tier 1 tower of the game, whereas they themselves all still in firm control of their own. Now they're looking for Disembody. A track means that in permanent visibility, not going to be doing much right now, and they're just going to go for it. This tier 1 tower was weakened before, and yeah, with the alacrity on this Invoker, they're going to shred this tower, and they have Serpent Wards in 10. They're going to smoke up and possibly look to defend their tier 1 bottom lane, which is also being pushed. I think they can make a pretty good fight here.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see if they're going to get there close enough. They start out with Sunstrike onto the Ancient Apparition. He's almost dead from just that. Had they had a little bit more nuke damage, that would be a kill. Earthshaker looking for the block. He is smoked up. It is going to pop. He hasn't dropped a single spell, and he doesn't have his Echo Slam. That's why he's not casting anything. Now he's just going to casually feed. He gets macked up, but the Ancient Apparition Blast probably going to come off, especially with the Fissure. They do shackle up the Ancient Apparition in the backlines. A defensive disruption will secure a little bit more damage for the Razor, but in the end, that's going to be a 1-for-1 trade. Still okay for Bora Dota, although a miscalculation from the Earthshaker. Ricky is looking...
Bottom lane Forsaken still being dove by the Tidehunter in the meantime. Racist Grandpa stuck in the corner, stuck between 2 heroes. In fact, Disembody wants to clean up the Shadow Shaman right now, and he probably will do so, but at what cost? He's going to get snapped up. They don't have any True Sight just yet. Unfortunately for them, the track was still cooling down. They're going to chill by the Sentry Ward, but I think Disembody is going to be just fine. He's a TP away. But still, Bora Dota take a good fight, much to be expected. Even though their Earthshaker did literally nothing but walk himself into a whole bunch of enemy heroes.
Yeah, pretty much. They are going to trade 2 for 3, now put a little bit of pressure onto this tier 2 tower. They don't have the Serpent Wards available. They were using that fight, but they're going to start off with the Fissure onto Yurgity. He's going to defensively disrupt himself. The Asian Apparition Ice Blast is coming through, going to land on 2. They now have the Echo Slam. They're going to commit that for the Shadow Demon kill, but they might lose Dead Gear. Will be able to chase him down. He is trying to run away. The Purge is not going to be enough. He is slowed down a little bit more. Plasma Field would be enough to kill him off. Will he be able to cast that one? A nice Fissure comes up for the Earthshaker, and I think Dead's going to be alive here. Yeah, he's not going to be chased down, and for now, it is the supports that are in a little bit of trouble. Razor just doesn't want to stop here. He gets Plasma Fuel kill on the Earthshaker, and then backs off. So, in the end, 1-for-1 support trade.
Disembody wants more. This Ricky doesn't give a damn about anything. Tier 1 tower? What Tier 1 tower? He's going to get the kill in the end, but holy crap, Disembody just completely manning up as Dead does come right back in. He's at full HP. He's going to drop a really nice Ice Wall, but it's only 2v4. They're going to trade 1-for-1 thus far, and now Nico on the way out. He's going to try to juke into the trees. Don't go in there. That's not where you want to go. He's going to go invis, but yeah, he could have just ran straight to his base, and I think he would have just lived.
Yeah, I don't know, Disembody's had that dust for quite some time, so in the end, just secure the kill on the Bounty Hunter. So, I don't know, Bora Dota feeding away a couple of kills down in bottom, and, well, that's going to be next level badasses striking back this Ricky. Still hasn't done it for me as a pick, but he is going to pick himself up a Yasha. 3-2-3, not doing the worst, although his farm is quite lackluster. But after that, I suppose we'll go ahead and take a look at the graphs. It is a slight lead towards Bora Dota, sitting at about 5,500, and experience not as in their favor, and it'll probably sit at about 1,000 experience in their side. So for now, we are just going to back off as both teams have kind of won a fight and then lost one.
Well, I mean, I don't even know if you could call that Bora Dota losing a fight, because they just went in 2v4 with Invoker Bounty Hunter. That's suicidal, first of all, and, well, they certainly died for it, so I don't know. That was like a 322 moment if I ever saw one, just force staffing in for an ice wall. I mean, I'm all for ice walls, but if you were force staffing in for Deafening Blast Meteor, then yes, go ahead and do that, because that'll probably kill people. Ice wall, not so much, as we do see the Bounty Hunter. He's actually pretty stacked with the Drums of Endurance up, Phase Boots plus Overclub. He's stalking Yurgity. It's going to take him a little while to get this kill, because he's going to have to work through Disruption, but he does have backup incoming and Sunstrike available. They're going to have to time it perfectly, though. Maybe try to force out the Disruption from Nico. and then go in. However, the Invoker's being stalked by Ricky. They will land Sunstrike perfectly onto Yurgity, and they will kill him off before he can disrupt himself. Now dead, though, in a very awkward position. He doesn't have an Invoke for a Ghost Walk, so he's going to go down as well. Or Dota moving super, super aggressively into the enemy jungle with not enough heroes. If they had the Viper there, fine, but clearly that wasn't the case. Shadow Shaman in a little bit of trouble again. 25th can move in with a Ravage possibly. No, yep, there's Ravage and Ice Blast. Quino's going to get smashed down. Unfortunately for Cass, he's unable to help. He does have a Blink Dagger up, and he does have Nico in. Is it time to 2v4 again? I think it's about 2v4 time. It's 2v4 o'clock. They're going to back off.
For now, it is just going to be NLBA backing off. I don't know, the Invoker's positioning throughout the engagement inside the jungle was pretty poor. All he really committed to that was the Sunstrike, and he could have done that by farming in another lane, or in the jungle even, with his Forge Spirits. So in the end, I think that was kind of unnecessary. They died. There's the Echo Slam lands on a 3 with the follow-up enchant being disrupted by the Shadow Demon. They are going to drop a Purge, and everybody's fairly low. The Ancient Persian Blast, the Earthshaker might be the first one to die in this fight. They drop the Shadow Shaman wards, but Aquino's also falling very low as the Bounty Hunter, Earthshaker, and Shadow Shaman are going to be the only people that die. Razor committing behind this tower with the ultimate Sunstrike, not going to be on the mark as DVG going to walk towards the south, and in the end, a very good start to the initiation going to be stopped by Yurgity's disruption.
Yeah, next level badasses have a very meek... Oh, wait, Yurgity can get interrupted on someone else. That's the Invoker who decided to 1v2. Invoker, I don't really know why you do this to me. Like, why? What drives you to do things like this? He's gonna pop. Disembody's gonna get a kill. And it's gonna legitimize the craziest of Ricky plays. I don't even know this game. Bora Dota, they're kind of asking for it by jumping into a Ravage and AA Ice Blast, plus a Razor with a mech, without their full lineup of heroes, so... It was a nice initiation and all, especially with maxed out Aftershock, but that's pretty much all Earthshaker can offer you at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. Had there been, like, the Invoker standing behind there to drop a Deafening Blast Meteor on top of that, that could have been a completely different fight. A lot of heroes on the side of Next Level Badasses were very low. There was just nothing really to follow up. They ended up just getting caught out by the Ravage and Ancient Apparition Ice Blast.
Unfortunately, also, the Earthshaker did jump in for an Echo Slam onto 3, which is good, but... There were, I'm pretty sure, 0 units there, so it was just a 3 hero Echo Slam, and I mean, that's great and everything, but you kind of would like to get a little bit more, since I'm pretty sure that was also the first users of Echo Slam, so they had the surprise advantage, but you know, they just didn't have the numbers to back it up, and well, Bora Dota, they looked so great a couple minutes ago, but they're slowly starting to give away this advantage to the next level badasses.
Yeah, I don't know. We do have a smoke coming up from the Shadow Shaman as well as the Earthshaker, but Earthshaker just goes ahead and breaks that almost instantly. So yet again, another solo smoke coming up from Aquino, and I don't think he's going to be able to do anything with that.
We do see, well, Disembody still not farming. He's roaming around very aggressively. He does have eyes now on Dead, though. Getting a kill on anyone with a Force Staff is a little bit difficult, since you could just do that. You know, smoke screen into Force Staff means you're not going to be able to get any kills until you get something like a Basher, which I don't think is going to come for a very long time. They're going to continue their push on their mid lane. Do they have Ravage? Yes, they do, with a Force Staff's Tidehunter. They drop a Meteor, Deafening Blast, and Disembody. Almost completely destroy him. In fact, that will get the kill. Yeah, Dead, that's what you should have done last time, as they're now going to go in on this fight. They catch McCoy, and they catch 25th on the sidelines, but might force out the Ravage. Meantime, Cass going to try to go onto Yurgity, but 25th trying to run away. Still has the Ravage available, but it won't get a chance to use it. In the meantime, Echo Slam onto the Shadow Demon. So finally, Bora Dota get this fight to come together as they fight a multi-sided front, and Next Level Badasses, they kind of didn't want to fight that to begin with. They were, for pretty much the entire time that fight, on full-out retreat.
Yeah. I don't know, in the end, Ancient Persian will get the kill on the Earthshaker. Maybe he was just taking creeps, I'm not exactly sure what happened there. But in the end, he will die up in top. Still a favorable exchange for them. I don't know, this Invoker's build throughout the game has kind of been very interesting. He's only gone for 3 points in the Quas and maxed out the Exhort, so not going to use Forge Spirits at all this game, and now goes for the Aghanim Scepter. I suppose when you're going for this build, Ags is decent, but I don't know, we'll have to see if he's going to put it to good use. He 4 steps away, not sure if they know Disembody is there, but he's going to go in the Shadow Shaman nevertheless. He silences Mumpy, he is going to get dusted, so he needs to keep up these other attacks, and in the end, it's just going to get hexed up. He does have backup, so they can't really go for this as the Blossom Field coming out as the Ancient Apparition Blast flies. Mech will keep Aquino safe, but the Ancient Apparition Blast is going to land on Dead. Disembody trying to man fight up against Forsaken here, but the Shadow Shaman going to be the first one to die. And Disembody, he's trying to turn the poison damage is too much from Corrosive Skin. In the end, he will be able to get the kill on the Ricky, but now they're all grouped up. In the end, nothing else is going to happen. 2 for 1 the trade.
these Ice Blasts have been pretty much on the mark from the racist grandpa. Like, they have missed a couple of times, but on the whole, they've hit enough people to make it completely worth it, as they will get a snipe on the Shadow Demon. He was amongst so many units, but just a perfect Sunstrike from Dead. He had perfect vision there, to be fair, but still, that's a hard-placed Sunstrike, and well, he snagged a free Shadow Demon. Nice.
Yeah, I don't know. Some of the Sunstrikes have been questionable, but that one was perfect. I don't know. Invoker does not have maxed out Invoke just yet, but he does have the Aghanim Scepter completed. We'll tank him up a little bit for the damage coming out from next level badasses, but really what you want to see with an Aghanim Scepter is just this Invoker slinging out spells left and right once he does have the maxed out Invoke available to him.
Invoker with Aghanims is, I want to say, one of the few heroes that you could get Aghanims a little bit too early. Yes, it does make Invoke free. Yes, it does drop the cooldown by just a little bit. But it gets so much better when you get it late because, as you said, slinging spells is what you want to be doing as Invoker with an Aghanims. And with only 1 point in Wex, he's going to be slinging a very small assortment of skills. Like, if he throws a Tornado, no one's going to notice because it's going to go like 200 range or something pathetic like that. So it'll get better, of course, but I kind of would have liked to see him pick up something else right now.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. If you want to go for something aggressive, potentially Yule's Scepter, and then get the Ags later. But honestly, I think just going for the Necro Book or something else for your team would be more beneficial. As it stands, he is still sitting very high in the net worth department, and for right now, it's a decent stat item. But yeah, I think it could be better served as well. They are going to get the pick off on the poor Bounty Hunter, just gets caught out by the Ancient Apparition Blast as well as the Riki. It gives them a very high global ganking presence, although now they're going to catch out Aquino as well. Shadow Shaman, I'm not sure he's getting out of this at all with the Purge. The Shadow Demon almost solo kills him, but Disembody is there to steal it with the Blink Strike.
So this is, I mean, I said I liked the Riki pick, though, to be fair, he hasn't actually been played at all what I imagined him to be played, but somehow he's still getting a really good score. Like 649 for your carry at this stage is it's perfect. I mean, it's pretty much where you want to be. Having a lot of kills, having a lot of assists. Dying, of course, less than ideal, but still, Disembody is doing pretty well for himself, all things considered, because it seems like he was just kind of goalless in the beginning. Like, he was last hitting poorly, he was roaming, but he's still gotten enough to make this Riki pick okay. Still would rather like to see him be someone else, but it's working out so far decently.
Yeah, I mean, usually I don't check the last hit chart at this point in the game. Well, that might be delays. We have a Fissure up top, and Disembody going to get hexed up as well. The Plasma Field going to delay a lot of things as Ravage comes out on nothing. I don't know, Viper Strike, Echo Slam, pretty much only onto the Tidehunter there, and he's going to be burned down by Chaos Meteor. I think that's going to kill him, and if not, let's see, is there going to be a Sunstrike? Is it going to land on the Tidehunter? No, it's going to miss, and Forsaken is not going to be Forsaken, as they'll be able to TP back in. They look for the Fissure, not going to land, and in the end, that was a very weird fight, as, well, Disembody is going to be disembodied here. They'll catch out the Riki.
Yeah, Riki was fine. Like, he decided to go back in or something. Fortunately for the Tidehunter, he does manage to escape, but for Dota, they had a huge opening there in that they drew out the Ravage and got away completely scot-free, which never ever happens when you're dealing with Ravages, but still they only managed to take out one hero, and that's a hero who kind of felt a little bit suicidal. So all things considered, things going okay for them, but it could have gone a lot better. So now spot out Yurgity. Now with the Forge Spirits dead, please focus those Forge Spirits. They also see 25th, gonna deploy those Serpent Wards, but instantly the Kraken Shell gonna keep that Tidehunter alive. Yurgity gonna be chased down with the Cold Snap. He will be the one to fall, but Bora Dota unfortunately put their Serpent Wards a little bit out of position. They could go for this tower push, and they probably will get it, but it'll take a little bit longer than it really should.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a lot of weird miscues in that last fight. Well, they will get this tier 2 tower, and it's not the slowest with Forge Spirits, as well as a bunch of heroes right-clicking. It will be delayed by 5 seconds, but I'm not sure if using the Serpent Wards over here is really going to hurt things. It will pull the creep aggro off at the very least, or never mind, it's actually not affecting the aggro at all. They'll get the tier 2 tower, and a Viper Strike disjointed by the Blink Dagger on the Tide.
Yeah, Bora Dota, as expected, will capitalize off of that really large whiff from the Ravage. This game, actually a lot more even than really I thought it would be, like, given the first 10 minutes of the game. Next level badasses have the experience advantage, only slightly, however, and well, Bora Dota have a little bit of gold to their lead, and they're going to look to extend that even longer. And they don't have Forge Spirits. There's some Forge Spirits, and they're going to have to deal with these Ice Blasts, which are soon to be Aghanims. Yes, very soon to be Aghanims. So those are going to start to hurt down the line, but they do get a Fissure onto DVG plus a Viper Strike. though this is not the person you want to be striking down, as he is by far the tankiest hero on Next Level Badasses. Does the Bora side actually want to fight this? They get a catch disembodied, but a beautiful smoke onto Bora with the four-man anchor smash. 25th hexed up, still in the smoke, and Next Level Badass, they just can't get a beat onto anyone. They don't have Ravage just yet. They're gonna go for Kuno. They'll blow him up in an instant. There's a tornado onto 2 with the Deafening Blast Meteor. There's a Ravage, which will catch 2 this time. Still not the best, but it's okay. 4th for Forsaken. Now on the way out is going to lose a lot of his damage. The Ice Blast will fall, land onto the Earthshaker, plus dead. Nico is going to try to make a kill happen, but he actually uses the skill on the wrong person or an illusion or something. He's going to pop the dust, and now Nico is also going to go down. That was the messiest fight I've ever seen in my life, but somehow Next Level Badasses come out ahead.
Yeah, it's going to end up being a 5-man wipe. These team fights have just been so sloppy. There's just spells being thrown up everywhere. They're, I don't know, very, very awkward. I'm used to very clean engages, but these are anything but. Yeah. 2-man Ravage catching him on the end did secure them some kills, and in the end, they're just able to chase better, I guess. I don't know. Just really good ancient apparition Ice Blast, I think, is the biggest silver lining for Next Level Badasses, as well as this Tier 2 tower, which will fall their way. After a 5-man wipe, you kind of expect something to be taken. 25th is going to be tagged by Fissure, but in the end, that's going to be a Deceive Links away.
Really, Bora, they don't really want to be mashing their faces against a 5v5 lineup. They want to be taking pick calls with this Bounty Hunter as much as they can. Like, they want to get track value. Now that the Bounty Hunter has BKB, he can manage himself in the fights a little bit better. But if you run face first into a Ravage, into this Razor, who is at this point seemingly unkillable for Bora, it's just not going to work out for them. They need to smoke up constantly and look for pickoffs, and that's just not what's happening for them. They need more track gold, because otherwise the Bounty Hunter is really going to start to slow down. So if they keep going like this, it's not going to end well for them. So they have to change gears soon, or else they're just going to lose, I think.
Yeah, I know, Bounty Hunter needs to be very careful now. That Next Level Badasses do have a gem on Yurgity here. One of the better heroes to have a gem on. He's able to get the high ground vision by himself, and he just went on a dewarding mission. But currently, the Radiant don't have any wards on that side of the map in mid. They might look to make a go, as we do have the Earthshaker waiting in the wings, as he has a Fissure as well as a Blink. But for now, everybody's just going to back off and be fine. Yeah, the 2 wards that are up for Bora Dota are in the enemy jungle and are really not accomplishing much, with the exception of just telling them that they're not there. They are going to get disruption onto the poor Bounty Hunter with the gem. It looks like he's going to die. He has the BKB trying to turn onto the Shadow Demon. He is going to be force-staffed away, and it looks like Nico is going to be the one to fall here. And in the end, Bounty Hunter, his aggressive rotation into the enemy territory is going to be punished, and they should know that they have a gem now.
Yeah, he'll definitely know. Demonic Purge also cutting its way through BKB, and of course this embodies backstab damage. Though he doesn't actually have that much agility, like the only agility items he has is the Yasha in the Sanjin Yasha. He's still able to put out a lot of damage when the enemy is just 100% trying to flee. So Ricky providing some pretty serious damage with the setup from the Shadow Demon, kind of what you would expect from this combination, though probably before the 30-minute mark. They're going to de-ward the crap out of Roshan, and they're just going to go for it. It is not going to be the fastest, because Tidehunter, for whatever reason, doesn't feel like helping out to Gush. There's the Gush, finally. Sunstrike was on to Disembody, so Bora Dota, they will know exactly what's going on, and I think this is the time to go. They have an Echo Slam and an Invoker in a very tight Roshan pit, but it will slowly be brought down. Let's see how this is going to pan out.
Not a huge fan of McCoy's racist grandpa's positioning in this team fight. He's inside the pit. Ancient Apparition Blast's skills, depending on how far away you are, blink away from the Earthshaker, it'll be just fine after getting disrupted up. But in the end, let's see if they're going to be able to get this Roshan. Forsaken, he's going to walk in, invised up, but they do have vision of him with the gem as well as the Sentry on the ground. There's going to be a Tornado through as well as a Deafening Blast Meteor combo onto the Tidehunter in 2, but it's not going to be enough as the Shadow Shaman as well as the Viper are going to be the first 2 to die. Who gets the Roshan kill as the Echo Slam comes out from the Earthshaker? He ends up getting the kill on the Razor as well. Shadow Demon gets the Aegis, and they also get the last hit there in the end. Earthshaker brings down the Shadow Demon, but the cost of his own life in a dominating spree for 25th, and Bora Dota give up all 5 kills in exchange for 2.
That got a lot worse for them than I really expected. Like, they had the Serpent Wards in pretty much the ideal position, but in the end, they got peeled apart. Like, the Invoker was off to the right, fighting off a couple heroes, and he really couldn't manage himself at that point. Off to the left, everyone was just throwing themselves into that Roshan pit. That's into an Aghanim Razor ultimate that's level 3. So Bora Dota, they were like trying to focus the Roshan, trying to kill off the Ricky and stuff like that. But in the end, the Razor was just chilling that entire time with that lightning. And it looked for a moment that Bora Dota were going to have a decent fight when the Roshan was dropping low and the Earthshaker was cleaning house in that pit. But unfortunately, the Earthshaker couldn't get enough to happen. He was zoned out for a little bit too long because at first he was forced to blink out as soon as that fight started, so he couldn't get the initiation he really wanted to. And at the end of the day, Next Level Badasses, though they do kill off the Roshan and take the Aegis, they lose the Aegis straight after. But still, they take a pretty nice team fight as Tidehunter does draw closer to that Refresher Orb. So Next Level Badasses will soon have ultimate supremacy over the team fight department.
Yeah, I don't know. It's yet another very scrappy engagement that's going through, and in the end, what you say pretty much stands. They go with these engagements at a very, I don't know, spread out way. There's kind of all these mini engagements, but in the end, Next Level Badasses were the ones that were more grouped up and more fighting together rather than in their own little world. Invoker was going for a nice combo and he got it off. It did some good damage, but in the end, he just couldn't fight up against the 2 to 3 heroes that were surrounding him when he went up for that. So in the end, that's going to be the sum of it is in mid. I don't know, we have a group up coming out from Bora Dota. I'm not sure if they really should be forcing the issue right now. We'll have to see. Tidehunter does not have a Ravage for another 20 seconds. And maybe that's a window they're trying to hit. It's still a very short one. They'll at least get this Hero 2 tower in the middle lane. Or presumably with the server wards on the ground. Let's see if they're going to be farmed up enough. The Fissure is going to come out, but it's only going to delay it as the tower doesn't take fatal damage. BKB finished by the Ricky. But yeah.
Oh, they see Nico Yurgity going to force staff himself forward, looking for that demonic purge to slow him down. Unfortunately, a little bit too far. But Next Level Badasses, they pull the Serpent Wards out of the Shadow Shaman, and they defend their tower without using the Ravage. So now they can actually group up and look to make something happen. I think at this point, Next Level Badasses, going off and doing your own thing is how you die. Like, if you get picked off with the Bounty Hunter track and Viper right on your ass, who now, by the way, has a gem, then that's going to be the easiest way for them to give up this lead that they've got. Like, Ricky doing this is probably not what you want to do, even though he may feel safe doing it because he has a BKB. It's not a good idea. You got to group as 5, and as Next Level Badasses, look to take these tier 2 towers. Because at this point, Ravage is still, like, a huge tool. I mean, it is refreshed, or should be refreshed, is it? Yes, it will be refreshed, and it is level 3. So they have Ravage, they have Teamfight on lockdown. They should group up as 5 and try to make something happen at these towers.
It looks like that's what they're going to do at the end of the day, but Disembodied is still kind of on his own little island, stalking the enemy team, but he needs to be careful. I don't know, I think he knows that they have a gem, but yeah, I'm not exactly sure what he's trying to accomplish on his own. I think just being with his team would do a lot more for them, but maybe they're looking for the big wraparound as everybody else is smoked up. They drop the smoke cloud on the ground. The Fisher's going to come through, and Disembodied's kind of caught alone here. He has the BKB and might be able to get the kill on the Earthshaker. Force Staff away will keep him alive for now as a nice Deafening Blast Meteor combo. Going to almost kill the Shadow Shaman. Oh, they're going to miss a Ravage. He refreshes that, but everybody's BKB'd around him. They will kill the Earthshaker and the Shadow Shaman to start things off, and now Nico not looking too healthy, even with the BKB. The ultimate coming up from the Razor, going to rip him to shreds. There's a Sunstrike attempted, but it didn't actually kill anybody. So at the end of the day, they missed the Ravage almost completely, but still came away 3 kills richer.
Disembodied just like went to town on the Earthshaker and Viper. They couldn't really do anything once the Ricky popped his BKB. They just had to run. And Earthshaker, though he does have Force Staff and Blink Dagger, was unable to escape the clutches of Ricky, and Viper couldn't really do anything to help. Like, his damage without poison attack is not that impressive, and he dropped the Viper Strike beforehand as Disembodied was, when he was kind of not moving as dead, you can jump right in for an EMP Tornado. It'll hit onto everyone, so that's pretty nice, but it's still only a level 2. Yeah, it's a level 2 EMP. That's 175 mana burned. That's going to slow down Next Level Badasses, and it might even stop them. But I don't know if they were planning on pushing the high ground anyway. They might want to just look to go to the top lane and try to make something happen there, because they still have a Ravage.
Yeah. And, well, in another 90 seconds, they'll have another one. The Arcane Boots were coming up with cooldown, so if they wanted to commit to that, they'd have enough mana in order to do so. But yeah, for now, they're just going to back off and farm, which I think is pretty wise. Going up into a Blink Echo Slam is not an easy task, as well as, I don't know, the high ground defense coming out from Bora Dota is not terrible at all, and even though I would say that they're behind at this point, especially with the items that the Invoker has decided to go for, with that Aghanim Scepter really not accomplishing much in his inventory currently, I don't know, they still have a shot if you're going to push aggressively into high ground without an Aegis, or while there's still other towers and farm on the map for you to take. Yeah, as far as the advantage at this point in the game, Next Level Badasses have actually accrued themselves about a 6,000 gold advantage once that actually updates, and more importantly, the experience vantage. 25,000 in their favor, which is absolutely huge. I don't know, not sure what that's actually breaking down to as far as what that means in their heroes, but all of their heroes have their level 16 ultimate upgrades should they want them, which is pretty big, especially for an Ancient Apparition with Ags.
If you take a look at Shadow Shaman right now, he was at 100% and he got hit with an Ancient Apparition ultimate, and it brought him all the way down to 150 HP. So Ancient Apparition was almost capable of killing off someone with just one spell cast. I don't think I've ever seen that before, but that certainly is the dream for Ancient Apparition. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen this game. Everyone is tanky enough to withstand that. But yeah, still, those level 16s really going to come in big for the next level badasses, except for Ricky, because Ricky is going to go for stats instead of that permanent visibility. When you expect to be when you expect to be visible for most of the fight, I think this makes sense.
Yeah, the extra agility is going to help you a lot more with damage, and I don't know, stats scale pretty well on Ricky as far as carries go, but it might not help him in mid. Oh, they don't have vision of him, as the gem is way too far back. So in the end, Disembody going to stuck the Shadow Shaman. He actually blocked up some of the creeps with the Ancient Apparition Blast coming through. They might be able to get the kill on the Shadow Shaman, but no, the Ancient Apparition Blast is going to be wide towards the left, and in the end, not going to do much. And Ricky gonna have to pull out of there.
Yeah, he does have that BKB, but we saw how useful BKB was for Bounty Hunter. The same thing can be replicated, although the right-click damage from Bora Dota not exactly as focused without a Ricky of their own. Invoker could put out some pretty serious damage with that Alacrity, plus that Necro unit, Necro Book 3. So Ricky's got to play it pretty safely from here on out. He could occasionally look for those solo picks again, but since he doesn't have like something like a Diffusal Blade and Manta Style to keep him super safe from detection, he's going to have to mostly stick with his team. And as I said before, that's probably what he should have been doing in the first place. But now top lane is going to be the target. They have a Tide Hunter who's blinked straight into the trees. They have DVG just laying himself out as bait. He's getting hit with a Tornado EMP. He's not really going to give a damn about that. They're just waiting for 25th to get his Blink Dagger right back on cooldown. But Bora Dota, I don't think it looks like they want to defend. I mean, they're just posing, but yeah, they're going to back off.
Yeah, with the Nagadam Scepter on the Razor, it's very hard to defend against that anyway, and it would cost them quite a bit. And you're also fighting into the double Ravage coming up from the Tide Hunter, not something that you really want to be doing. So for now, that is going to be the last Tier 2 tower standing on the side of Bora Dota. It is going to be taken down. And, well, as far as Tier 2 towers, there's only one left in this game in the mid lane for next level badasses, and that one not looking too healthy either. So yeah, a lot of the fights have taken their toll on the map, and neither team really has a great advantage where that is concerned. Disembody, his item progression has pretty much been stymied. He has a BKB and Sanjin Yashi, which is great, and he's still able to do a decent amount of damage with backstab, but I'm still not really seeing what he's able to do. You'd like to have him at least have one more item on top of that. Still, he is third in the net worth, and second on his team only to the Razor, who just finishes up his own Refresher Orb. That's going to be double BKB as well as double Eye of the Storm, and that's going to be pretty ridiculous the next couple of fights. You saw how much just the one Eye of the Storm did? Well, now you're going to multiply that by 2.
They got the Refresher Orbs galore on their heroes, so 2 Eye of the Storms, 2 Ravages. Now the Ricky, he was holding on to something like 3,500 gold, just straight buys up a Basher. It's not the best item as far as killing people as Ricky. Like, if you want to be doing damage, you get stuff that gives you plus agility. You get the Butterfly. Like, that's the holy grail for Ricky. He's also Eye of the Scotty is pretty ridiculous. But Basher will serve to keep people in one place. And when you're dealing with Viper, who is just really tanky, and, you know, so other people like Bounty Hunter who have BKBs, I don't know if I like this item that much, but it will provide him some serious value nonetheless. They're just going to go for Oshan again. This time, Bora Dota, they come a little bit too late to contest, and Aegis, it's still in there. Cass going to jump in for the Echo Slam, but the Fissure blocking him from the Aegis. Disembody, please pick that up. Thank you. He's now going to go for Cass. The Tornado does fly wide. EMP is not, the Meteor is going to almost completely whiff as Invoker takes the Ice Blast straight to the Dome. That was really close from next level badasses. They could have lost the Aegis, but even if they did, it wouldn't have mattered that much. They're going to catch Aquino on his way out, too. He's going to try to TP out. Ravage, okay. Well, they got him. They certainly got him, and now with the Ravage spent in that fashion, they have to look for more. Disembody's going to catch Forsaken, and they put him in a bubble. Where's the smoke? The smoke is already used, actually. Forsaken going to get drained out. He's going to get locked into place. That's another kill for Disembody. Suddenly, the Bounty Hunter is all alone, and, well, that's GG.
I don't know, very awkward GG call, but in the end it's probably worthwhile. They only had buyback on the Invoker, and what's he really going to do? If they held on to the Ravage there, it might have been, I don't know, a more convincing GG for me, but in the end, that is going to be Game 1. We still have more American Dota coming up next on HeflaTV 2, so don't go anywhere, as we'll have Game 2 of the series very soon.
That was a hilarious game, by the way. GG, guys.